status for Somali immigrants in Minnesota. From Minneapolis, here's ABC's Faith Abube.
In one neighborhood, there was a clash of protesters and DHS agents there. People were screaming and shouting at DHS.
Okay, good morning and welcome to the WSJM Morning Show video live stream. You can do that. You can grab your phone if you want.
I think it's out in the lobby.
Oh, no. You can grab it while I'm in the news. Does that work?
That's perfect.
Okay, good morning to... It's a morning already. We're talking with Ronnika Williams, Story Salon. Did I get that right?
Yes,
okay.
you did. You nailed it.
And Ronnika, I heard about the Story Salon, and I thought, she focuses on what? Storytelling? I love storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what we're really all about. So I couldn't wait to get you in here to the studio to tell us a little bit more about you, your origin story, what the Story Salon is. Why don't we'll get your origin story. I want to explore that in depth. But for those who are unaware, what is the Story Salon?
So the Story Salon, we just basically sum it up in 6 words. So we're preserving history, we are creating legacy, and we're engaging community. So we're really just focusing on stories that are getting lost in the shuffle when it comes to like small communities such as Ben Harbor, and my family's origin story down in Alabama, in a small town called Thomaston, Alabama. How
do you do that? How do you capture these stories? How do you make sure they don't get lost?
Oh man, I have a background. I'm an archivist, so that's a library science, archives management background. So I have a master's in that. But my whole thing is that I grew up in a house that was full of storytelling. My grandparents, that's what kept me quiet, was stories.
Whether
they were real or not. I mean, it was almost like a game. Is this a true or false story? Which one is it, dad and granddad?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of me listening, and we hear about, especially in the African culture, is the griots. These are the people that are passing down these narrative stories from generation to generation. And we see that a lot of that isn't happening now. So I'm always present with either my little microphone, which I always keep in my bag, or you can just do it on your phone now. But I want to make sure I capture as many stories as possible, because I had a great aunt that actually died last April.
Sorry.
And she was the one that unlocked that family history without knowing that she was unlocking that family history. Because it's a lot of, especially in the Black culture, it's whatever we talk about in this house stays in this house. And that's a lot of these stories that it's like, no, we need to know them.
Yeah.
They connect us to not only our family, but also to community. And that's what Story Salon is about, is leaving outside of those 4 walls of your home and just really engaging with community with these stories.
That's fascinating. How long have you been doing this?
We started Story Salon in 2022. So in the smack dab in the middle of the pandemic.
Is that, was the pandemic part of why you did it?
I think it was an idea that we had for a couple years, and I was just kind of sitting on it.
Yeah.
And then my best friend and my sister, they were like, no, I think it's time to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, somebody after my own heart and in journalism, chronicling stories, using a recorder to get them. Do you ever find it's difficult once you turn the recorder on? People love to talk, and then all of a sudden you turn the recorder on and they're like...
Or they talk even more when it's us. It'll be a situation where they're just sitting there, and I'm like, okay, we just talked about this before I hit record. And then it'll stop, and then they have all the stories. I'm like, okay, so do I sneak and hit record again, or what do I do? So I had to learn. I had to get better with that. Okay, just keep it running.
It's an art form.
Yes. Yeah.
It's good. Okay, we're talking with Ronnika Williams. Story Salon is her business nonprofit organization that you operate out of Benton Harbor.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll talk about that and how you can get in touch, how you can get involved, how you can help perhaps share your story or find out how to collect stories. So we'll talk about that and more. It's all coming up right here on the WSJM Morning Show. In just a moment, we're going to get our local news stories. That's coming up right here on WSJM.
1 against Norton, McAfee, basically all the usual suspects. And right now, you can get an exclusive 60% off when you go to webroot.com/offer. Lock in the smarter, lighter, faster protection your devices deserve and get Webroot Essentials today. That's webroot.com/offer for 60% off.
WSJM News now. Team coverage from the WSJM newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
37 degrees in Benton Harbor and St. Joseph under cloudy skies. We're under a winter storm warning. Yeah, we've got a winter storm warning for Berrien County in Michigan, LaPorte County, and St. Joseph County in Indiana. It goes from now until 1 p.m. tomorrow. Winter weather advisory for Cass County, Marshall, and Stark counties from 7 a.m. Wednesday, that's right now, till 1 p.m. on Thursday. The forecast for today does call for cloudy skies. We've got some drizzle being reported out there right now, and an 80% chance of snow is on its way. Some rain might mix in early, as we're seeing, and then that's because we have the high temperatures of the day happening right now. We've got 37 degrees. We've already fallen off a degree since we started the WSJM morning show last hour. We're going to fall down into the 20s. It's going to be breezy. The winds are going to come out of the northwest. Cold winds, 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusting up to 30, bringing with them that precipitation. We're going to get some system snow and then the possibility of some heavy lake effect snow. Tonight's forecast, mostly cloudy, more lake effect snow possible, a low overnight of 18 degrees, breezy conditions, and the northwest winds continuing to gust up to 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow's forecast, Thursday, we're going to start out with another chance of lake effect snow continuing, becoming partly sunny by mid-afternoon maybe, a high around 24 degrees. The winds out of the northwest still gusting to 25 miles per hour. Friday, after all that initial lake effect snow stuff is done, Friday we might have some more. Yeah, Friday we could get another 1 to 3 inches of snow, cloudy skies, 80% chance of snow on Friday with a low around 20 degrees. So keep an eye on the weather, keep an ear on a WSJM, and we'll keep you up to date on what's happening. Some of the news from the WSJM newsroom: state lawmakers are returning to Lansing, and Representative Joey Andrews says he's working on several legislative priorities. Giving an update to the St. Joseph City Commission this week, Andrews says he's pursuing an expansion of Michigan's Brownfield program, and it's for housing.
A modification to the Brownfield tax credit, which has been a very successful credit statewide. We've got a bill in to try to expand that credit for acquisition and redevelopment projects, which I think in our area would be a huge boost given the number of projects we hear from local developers that have a funding gap, and it's often around the acquisition.
Andrews noted changes made in 2023 allowing housing developments to use tax increment financing have shown success. We've talked about a bunch of them right here on WSJM. He said he's also working to expand Michigan's historic preservation grant program.
We have a lot of old historic buildings that could use a new lease on life, and it's pretty expensive to maintain those buildings and keep them in their kind of historic character. So that credit is totally maxed out right now. It's very popular across the state.
Andrews encouraged commissioners to contact his office early with budget requests, noting the new budget cycle is already underway. He added lawmakers are expected to focus this year on economic development, taxes, and affordability issues. The Lakeshore Public Schools Board of Education has approved about $1.4 million in building improvement contracts funded through the district's 2023 voter-approved bond. Trustees approved bids from 7 contractors at their meeting on Monday. Superintendent Greg Eating saying several upgrades are planned at the high school.
High school auditorium roof replacement and the high school band room, which band storage cabinets and storage replacement, and the transportation building, putting a new epoxy floor covering in the garage area.
All 3 elementary schools will receive new gym partition walls, repainted metal door frames, and new mechanical units. Eating says the gym upgrades will improve daily operations.
The partitions that are going up are like replacing the partitions in each of the gyms, and these will be, I think, mechanical. So I believe push button, which would be. I think it's going to be a big deal.
Roosevelt Elementary will receive a new shingle membrane roof, while Stewart Elementary will get a new mechanical unit in the media center mezzanine. The total bond approved by voters in 2023 was $19.9 million. And a Berrien County farmer has received national recognition from the American Farm Bureau Federation. Tara Baker of Three Oaks was awarded the Excellence in Agriculture Award during the 107th American Farm Bureau Convention in California. Baker owns a cash cropping farm and precision agriculture dealership with her husband, Sean. She told judges how becoming a parent reshaped how they manage their operation.
The next generation can't live by the same rules in the same world that our uppers may have had. So I want to be that example for my daughter, that I wasn't afraid to do it. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but ultimately, mommy tried.
Baker said the competition allowed her to reflect on how her story could encourage young farmers in Michigan.
How can we pull this back home? How can we get this story in front of other young farmers and ranchers around Michigan? So I think that, this is the chapter 1 of a pretty exciting journey of trying to go and hype up those next contestants from Michigan.
As the national winner, Baker receives $35,000 in credit toward a new Ford vehicle and paid registration to a future young farmer and rancher conference. So congratulations to her. It's the WSJM Morning Show. That's a look at some of the news that we have. We have more to talk about this hour. And in fact, all hour long, our special guest in the WSJM studios is Ronnika Williams from Story Salon. Good morning, Ronnika. It's good to see you.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us here on the radio and on the video live stream on YouTube and on Facebook. Story Salon. We talked about it a little bit during the opening, your introduction on the video live stream. But for people on the radio, let's give them just a synopsis again. What is Story Salon?
Okay, what is Story
What is
Salon?
Story Salon?
But for some people, they're thinking, okay, you're telling stories in the actual salon. Do not think of it that way.
Okay.
We are.
Yeah, because salon is the olden term
yes.
for we get together in these rooms, and we didn't have the internet, we didn't have television, we didn't have radio. We talked to each other. In the salon. Yeah.
That was our community.
Yeah.
So we're preserving history, creating legacy, engaging community.
I love that.
And we are really focused on, our main focus is we've seen so many stories in the past be lost. We're seeing a definite hike in ancestry. A lot of people are doing the DNA test.
yeah.
They're trying to figure out who they are and where their origin story as well. So we're actually, with Story Salon, we're leaving those 4 walls of your home, and we're answering those questions when it comes to who am I and what's my place in community. So when we talk about engaging community, for some people they feel left out, but Story Salon is your place where you will be a part of community.
You're a nonprofit organization. How does it work? How do the stories come in? How do people interact with you?
So since we're fairly new, it took us, we didn't want to come out fast and swinging. We wanted to do very slow and easy.
Okay.
That's what Tina said.
Yeah.
And so our first exhibit, we did a collaboration with the Morton House Museum in Ben Harbor. And it was my origin story, which a lot of people were just like, oh, what? But it wasn't just my origin story. It was the community's origin story. My grandfather was the first Black Justice of the Peace in Ben Harbor, in Ben Township.
Okay.
And so I was incorporating a lot of that history. I was incorporating my parents who went to Bard School. So I still have a lot of their attendance, their report cards.
Oh, wow.
And so you have people from the community going in, and they're starting to tell their own story because they have an attachment to this place, right? So they're looking at this bar. It's like, oh yeah, I remember when John did such. I'm like, you remember my uncle? So it wasn't even just an exhibit about myself. It was me. It was very therapeutic for me because I was able to hear stories about my dad's family. My dad has been gone it'll be 13 years this year. So it was just beautiful to engage with community in that way. But I was able to show it from both the community side and from a historical viewpoint as well. So that's kind of what we do with Story Salon. So we do have one that's coming up. We're really focusing on telling stories within a community. So we will be in Detroit in March doing their own exhibit as well. So that's all we're really trying to do. And our exhibits are called Retracing Their Steps.
Okay.
So we're really telling those stories of those ancestors that have gone on and really established community in these places. And their stories oftentimes were never told.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Thank you.
And so once you capture the stories, what happens?
So once we capture the stories, we're going to work with you. We put a plan together a few months ahead before even coming out and doing the exhibit. So we put the plan together, and then we identify our key players, like who are the people that you really want to get these stories. And then those people will also give us, well, maybe you need to talk to Mr. Ben over here on 7th Street. So we do that, and then we come in and we scan photos and we get artifacts, and then we just throw up an exhibit. Not throw up like it's really beautiful. If you haven't seen the one that was at the Morton House, it was amazing. So yeah, that's what we do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How can people find out more about you? I've got you want me to send them to your website?
Yes, send them to the website.
Yeah, thestorysalon.org. It's thestorysalon.org. They have their mission statement about them, some of the stories, projects, events, You've got a blog up there and some news items. So we'll be talking with Ronnika Williams from Story Salon all hour long, and we're going to get her origin story. We're going to get her story. That's coming up next, right here on the video live stream on WSJM. Here on the radio, we've got sports.
Sports.
All right, this is good. I've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the stories do get lost.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's ironic because you're with the people who are closest to you. I think about my parents, and I think about the number of different stories that my mom told me about our family heritage, and the stories changed over time.
Yes.
So, and it's hard to know what was fact, what was fiction.
Yes.
And so, and you mentioned the ancestry DNA. That's helped because I was able to check for a while. It's like, okay, Mom, well, you said this.
Yeah.
But I'm actually looking at the DNA here, and it says this. Anyway, it's like a Jerry Springer moment. But
ancestry has, what we say, blown up a lot of people's trees. Because that's not okay. Why are they all? So Granddad had families on both sides. Okay, all right, got it. Okay,
Yeah.
So there's two families here.
so thank you for doing what you're doing. This is good.
Yeah.
But give us your origin story. Who's Ronnika Williams?
Whew. My first job, I always start with my first job, was reading obituaries to my granddad every night.
Yeah.
And
Wait, let's back up before you go there. Where were you born?
I was born over here in St. And that's something that my parents would clear up when I was younger, because I could say, oh, I was born and raised in Ben Harbor. He said, no, you were born in St. Joseph. You were raised in Ben Harbor, like the hospital is in St. Joseph. Just identify that.
Yeah.
So that's where I was born, and I was raised in Ben Harbor. I am the youngest of three, and I love to remind them of that. I am the youngest of three.
The youngest. Yes.
The youngest of three. And graduated from Ben Harbor High School, so I'm a proud Tiger. And I went away to school, and then I moved back about 10 years ago.
Okay.
But in between that time, I worked at the Museum of the Confederacy, and which is now the American Civil War Museum in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
I worked for Historic Sackville in Durham, North Carolina, and an art institution, which is called T-Ball, the Black Arts Academy of Letters. Yes. Like a time that I kind of want to forget.
Oh, ouch. Okay.
And, but I have an archives background.
Yeah.
So,
what drew you into that? When did you?
Yeah. So I've always told the story of my dad. I was always a kid that asked a whole lot of questions.
Yeah.
Whole lot of questions.
That's good.
Well, where did they come from? And why do they do this? And when did they die? So my dad bought me this red book that I still have. It's of African American figures from A to Z. And that was like my first time hearing about Crispus Attucks or anything like that. Like any figures outside of Martin Luther King or Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Or even Harriet Tubman. And I was going through this book, and I told my dad, I said, man, I want to know more. Like, what can I do? So that's when I got turned on to PBS and documentaries. And I got to thinking, gosh, this is something I want to do at a young age.
Yeah.
But then, you probably tell some people that you trust or some adults, and they're like, well, what money are you going to make from that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, well, maybe I should be a history teacher then, because I really love history.
Yeah.
I was that child that I would see that one paragraph in the history book and say, okay, slavery was just one paragraph. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I knew that there was more to that story.
Oh, yeah.
So I always was on a quest of whatever story that I learned, whether it was through research or it was just a lived experience, I wanted to share it because I knew it was going to help someone.
Yeah.
So when I did archives management at North Carolina Central, and then I moved back, and I had a charge on my life when I was working with young people for the Boys and Girls Club, and a lot of them were like, "You went to Ben Harbor High School?" Yeah, right across the street.
Yeah.
All of us, my siblings, my parents, all of us graduated from Ben Harbor, and they would say to me, "But you turned out all right." And I thought, gosh, I said, there's so many stories that you don't know of people that are doing great things that are from this community.
Yeah.
So I started the HBCU Hangout. I knew so many people that went to historically Black colleges and universities that went away or had come back and are doing great things. So I was able to bring in once a week those people, whether it was in person or virtually. So I'm just really pushing that a lot of people need your story.
Yeah.
And I need you to share it.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to continue that story in just a moment. We're getting our weather forecast right now. We'll be back here on the WSJM Morning Show with Ronnika Williams, Story Salon.
Tomorrow, as the lake effect snow starts to taper off. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
We got a full hour. We don't have to land the plane. We can just keep flying around and around and around. No. Good morning and welcome again to the WSJM Morning Show. It's 7:20. I'm Ken Lundberg. It's Wednesday, January 14th. We've got in the studio, in the WSJM studios, Ronnika Williams from Story Salon. She is a local voice here, someone who was born in St. Joseph, raised in Benton Harbor, and went away for a while, came back. I love it when people come back to Southwest Michigan. It's a good place.
Yeah, it is. The summers are amazing.
And you've started a nonprofit called Story Salon. And the mission, which I grabbed off your website, our mission is to amplify Black culture's richness and resilience through storytelling, education, and community engagement. You strive to uplift voices, preserve legacies, and inspire a more inclusive future.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. And so you've been doing this since 2022. You're by my math, you're almost 4 years into it.
Yes.
3.5, 4 years.
Yes. May will be 4 years.
You like it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
What do you like about it?
I love the fact that I'm able to, when I go out in community. Okay.
Yeah.
Quick story.
Yeah. Stories are great.
From 2018 to 2024, I was an organizer and host for Pechacucha, which is the local storytelling live event.
Yeah.
So I'm
Wait. We can't breeze over Pechacucha.
yeah.
I know what Pechacucha is. You know, you brought the Pechacucha here.
Yeah.
But what is Pechacucha for those who don't know?
Pechacucha is a live storytelling event. You have 6 minutes and 40 seconds to tell your story.
Why 6 minutes and 40 seconds?
Because you have to have 20 images on a screen that are going by 20 seconds. You have 20 seconds per image. So that's how it equals out to 6 minutes and 40 seconds.
20 images, 20 seconds per image, 6 minutes and 40 seconds to tell your story.
Totally. It could be a passion project, your origin story. Yeah. I told how I even met my family for the first time. I think that was my first Pechacucha.
Oh.
So it was an amazing experience, but anyone can tell you that was a part of organizing with me at that time. I was really big on, it's not diverse up in here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to pull from any pool that I had, like, oh, I need you to tell this story. I need you to tell this story. Because I felt the richness of community, because after that person presents, first of all, it's extremely brave to get up there in front of at least 200 people and tell your story.
Yeah.
Strangers.
Yeah.
And you come off that stage and there's people that want to know more. And you're like, gosh, I should have did this a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that's where I started like, okay, this is a place where I can, when we talk about being inclusive, I want to make diverse. So I feel like every space that I'm in, I'm trying to bring a little bit of that.
Okay.
We don't want to leave anybody out.
Right.
We want, every story is important, but we know oftentimes that Black stories get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay. Pechacucha. And so that started the ball rolling for gathering these stories.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. There's a need. There's a need there.
Yeah.
There's, let me get back. Okay. So I'm at the entrance where we're collecting the tickets where people are paying. And someone walked up to me and said, "Oh my God, I love your exhibit at the Morton House." Yeah. I had no idea who it was.
Oh.
She said, I went in and I saw the exhibit after, because we had a live, we did a live exhibit or a talk back on what would have been my dad's 75th birthday. So on the 5th of every month, you're going to get at least a newsletter called Roots and Routes from Story Salon. And that is all things community stories, where you're going to find us, all of that. So there was a community opening, and then after that, the exhibit was up for about a month or a little over a month. So people were just not random, but just people that became, I would say, supporters were walking up to me and like, man, you put a lot of thought into that exhibit, or I didn't even understand like my connection to this person. I know I spoke a little bit about in the exhibit that when my mom migrated from, because it's all about Great Migration.
Yeah.
That's what Retracing Their Steps is. There's these multiple Great Migrations that happen. So when my mom's Great Migration happened, it was just her and my grandmother, and the person that picked them up from the train station is Sinbad's mom.
Hmm.
So I told that story in
Wow.
one of my Pechacoochas, and someone walked up to me and was like, "Oh my God, I remember meeting her and just how she was." And that's what we want to keep those people's legacy alive.
Yes, absolutely.
And those stories that they have, those connections that they have to each other. So
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Were you now you mentioned the Pechacucha, and just before we leave that piece of the story, Mamie Yarborough mentioned that she was doing a Pechacucha and she was so excited about doing it. I think she was nervous, but she was so excited. How'd she do? Were you there?
okay.
Okay.
And and it's something that it's funny because I thought about it this morning. I said, if you bring up Mamie, it's always for me, Queen Mamie, because I grew up that I have to always, no matter how old I get, I have to put a handle on somebody's name. So she kept saying, call me Mamie, because she's known my family clearly longer than I've ever been alive. So she, oh my goodness, she did phenomenal. I wasn't there. I was actually speaking at a conference that weekend.
Okay.
But I was encouraging her, like, yeah, you need to do this.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
then now we see her name is on a whole library. So
Yeah.
yes, ma'am, you need to continue to do it. Thank you. And she was also one of the people that came through the exhibit and dropped so many gems.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. I've done 1 or maybe 2 interviews with her that we never released, but she has it in her archive, and so do I. So Queen Mamie, what are we doing with that story?
Yeah. Oh, it's up to her on when to. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Well, good. I'm glad you have that.
Yeah.
She's great. She's a good
Yes.
individual.
Yeah.
All right. So I know we're hopping around a little bit. I apologize, but I want to get back to your origin story. You went to school. What'd you go to school for?
I went to school for history, undergrad,
Okay.
and then library science.
Okay.
And then so with the archives track, that was my focus. And then I went back to homecoming at North Carolina Central in 2018.
Okay.
And I ran into my advisors in the history department, because that's how I started. I started in their history program. Then my dad died. And then I said, I just want to get out of school. So let me do library science, because there's archives. And that's what I've always loved, is photos, artifacts, videos, documentaries, all of that. So I wanted to go into that lane. So I'm at homecoming, and my professor said, so when are you coming back to finish that history degree? I said, my what?
Yeah.
He said, the master's in history, when are you coming back?
Right.
I said, oh, I thought my time had expired. Like those classes are still valid. Like I can still work towards a degree. And I was joking. I didn't plan on coming back. And it was them calling, texting, like, hey, you have until this date. So I said, oh, that makes it really, that's real. Like that's a concrete date. Okay, so that's not changing. Got it. So I went back and I finished, but I had to write a thesis to complete it. And that's what kept me from finishing the degree in the first place.
Yeah.
So I went back, and that's where I was able to tell my family story that turned into the exhibit that became Retracing Their Steps.
Okay.
I asked my dad when I was in undergrad a long time ago, because I was the only Black girl in a geography class.
Yeah. And
our assignment was, we want basically your origin story. What's your family's origin story? And I looked around and I said, oh my goodness, I don't know. I don't know. So I remember calling my dad. I was in the BK line, trying to get something before class, before a night class.
Yeah.
And I said, who's my granny's people? His mom. I said, who are my granny's people? Ooh, I don't know. I know that granddaddy killed a white man and we had to change our name. I said, wait a minute, what?
Wow. That's a piece of history there. Yeah.
I said, do you know what he said? Nobody will talk about it. I said, can you at least give me a name? Yeah, still. Okay. That didn't help me whatsoever back then. I almost failed that class. I said, I don't know who I am. This is a problem. Fast forward, I'm in the history program at North Carolina Central, and I wanted to talk about grief.
Yeah.
Because that was what I had just experienced with my dad. I just lost my dad. I did this whole project called Final 48 Project with the Center for Documentary Studies at Duke University. So I was like, that's going to be my lane. I'm going to talk about grief in the Black community. That's what I know.
Yeah.
And my professor said, no, I think it's deeper than that. Like, well, how did you get to the point of grief? Like, how did you even start doing grief. And I said, oh, well, my first job was reading obituaries.
Yeah.
And he said, no, it's a little bit deeper than that. I said, well, when my dad died, I went on a quest of finding who my people were, because it was so many people had died in his family that I said, my God, I got to have some family out here somewhere. And that's where Ancestry comes in. But he left behind a little black book. And I even said in my Petch Cooch, it's not the black book that you're thinking about. It wasn't like his scorebook. It was an address book. And one day I'm sitting in my home and I flipped through and I said, okay, years ago, at this point it's probably 15 years prior. And I'm flipping through and I said, Dad gave me a name. There's no way it's in this book.
Oh.
I flipped to the S's and I said, oh my God. It was in my grandmother's handwriting was the name. The address was my dad's handwriting. So these are things that I remembered.
Yeah.
Because I remembered them signing my birthday cards. I know their handwriting. So I go on Google and I was like, well, maybe somebody is still attached to the house, maybe. And that was in August. No, that was in January of 2016. By August 2016, I got a response.
Wow.
And I sent him the initial one, but then I started finding obituaries in my mom's house. And I said, well, maybe if I send him obituaries, he won't think that I'm a bot.
Yeah.
So he responds and he said, I need you to call me tomorrow night at 6 p.m. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this hazing? Am I going online? Am I about to be a part of a secret society?
Yeah.
I wanted to know.
Yeah.
And he laid out, he said, no, that's where I live now. So it was actually a grandson of the name that was written.
Wow.
In that book. And he said that house is still in the family. I have the origin story of why your granddad did what he did. Your great granddad did what he did. And your great granddad was the brother of my grandfather.
Wow.
He said, and your great grandfather was the oldest. So he was at the very beginning of the Great Migration. So let's say this murder happened. And then he fled the South, came to Michigan, and then went back to the South.
That's a great story.
Different name.
Yeah.
So the name that he changed it to is the name that my grandmother was born under. So that's why I didn't know anything about the previous name.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We've got to pause right there. We have a couple of messages to get to. Our financial news from Bloomberg. We're talking with Ronnika Williams from Story Salon, and the story is unfolding. So I love this. We're going to continue to ask more questions about this here in just a moment on WSJM. All right, still on the video live stream. That's amazing. Yeah. So how have you captured all of that, documented that particular story in a book, in a video, in an audio? How are you doing that?
So that ended up becoming my thesis.
Okay.
So I just knew
Turn it into a book.
I've thought about a docu-series. I've thought about all of these things, and I've talked about it especially with Chuck at the Morton House, and it was very hard for me to just say Chuck and not mix Mr. Chuck on here. But we've talked about that too. As he said, "Man, your story is powerful."
Yeah.
So many people can learn from this, and to this day, and that thesis was completed in 2021. My advisor is still telling people about. I'm getting current students now that are reaching out to me like, how did you do this? What is this?
Yeah.
Because I not only did I write the thesis, but I did a whole website, so you're able to see visually what I did.
Wow.
And that's still up there too. So.
Yeah, turn it into a story. I mean, the number one most listened to podcast, most watched videos. It's all mystery stuff.
Yeah.
It's all interesting stuff.
Yes.
You set it up that way.
Yeah.
$1 million. $1 billion.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Ronnika, that's fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. And as you're going through, was that probably the most interesting thing you learned about your background?
No.
Okay. What else did you learn?
I really trying to dive into legacy and see where certain characteristics and patterns come from.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, I didn't, because I was in a and I don't think I've ever really shared this publicly. I was in a domestic situation when I first moved to North Carolina, and after that, I became extremely private. I didn't want anyone knowing where I stayed. And so my friends would joke that I turned into a runner. I mean, it was Ronnika may live here for 6 months. She may live in this spot. And it would be in the same town, but I didn't want anybody to catch my scent because I'm like, man, he's still out there. I couldn't prove too much. And so as I'm doing the research of my granddad, I was like, man, he was a runner as well. He was running for freedom. He was running to keep his family safe. Before this murder even happened, he already had 3 children. So he's not only trying to keep them safe, but then it's like, well, my wife, or that's not my wife anymore. And when you look at the census records, it's not their real names. And I felt so much of that because for a while on Facebook, I wasn't even my real name. I didn't want anybody to find me. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's so many things that that I can identify with that. Yeah, so that was probably the most fascinating. It was like, wow, there's a little piece of me that I pulled from history from someone I had no idea even existed.
Ronnika Williams, Story Salon. We'll continue getting her story in just a moment. We've got a message on the air right now, and we'll talk about the weather forecast in just a moment. We'll have some news that we have to bring in from ABC and our local newsroom. We'll continue our conversation with Ronnika in just a few moments right here on WSJM.
In our area who are shaping the communities around us.
Visit uwsm.org and click the Nominate a Volunteer banner at the top and tell United Way of Southwest Michigan the story of a volunteer doing great work in your community. United is the way.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
7:36, Wednesday, January 14th. Temperature out in Benton Harbor right now. We've dropped down to 34 degrees. Ronnika, when you got here, it was 38. We're now down to 34, and I see a couple of, looks like flakes of precipitation falling. Maybe it's rain, maybe it's snow, but it's coming. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's coming. Snow.
Couldn't it just wait until tomorrow?
It's waited as long as it can.
It's always around my birthday. It
Oh,
always gets
when's your
tricky.
birthday?
Sunday.
Oh,
It always gets tricky when it comes to travel and my birthday.
happy
in
early
Michigan. Thank you.
early birthday.
Thank you.
Winter storm warning is in effect for Berrien County here in Michigan, also for LaPorte County and St. Joseph County, Indiana. Winter weather advisory for Cass County, Marshall, and Stark counties in Indiana as well. But it's basically the lake effect engine is going to rev up. We're going to get some system snow early today, and then as we go into the evening, we could have some really heavy bands of lake effect snow. Cloudy skies, 80% chance of snow today. Some rain early in the mix possible. Again, we're going to see the temperatures fall from where they are now down into the 20s this afternoon. Breezy conditions, northwest winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Overnight, it's going to be mostly cloudy, more lake effect snow. Low overnight around 18 degrees. Breezy conditions continue, making visibility poor or zero, so take that into account. Thursday's forecast, 40% chance of lake effect snow, then becoming partly sunny. A small break on Thursday afternoon from the snow before we get more on Friday. Sorry about that. Friday's forecast, cloudy skies, an 80% chance of snow. They say somewhere between a light accumulation and as much as 3 inches. So I think it really depends on where we are. The low on Friday is supposed to be around 20, and the high is supposed to be around 32 degrees. And then the temperature drops again Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The high is only supposed to be up as high as 20, and the lows are going to get down to the single digits. So it's winter is still here. We're going to continue our conversation with Ronnika Williams, Story Salon. That's coming up right here on the WSJM Morning Show. First, a break for news.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. President Trump drawing a line this morning, saying anything less than U.S. control of Greenland is, in his words, unacceptable. This hours before Vice President J.D. Vance leads a delegation meeting with officials from Denmark and Greenland. Casper Frank Muller is a tour guide on the island and says they don't want to fight with the United States.
We're not going to go into any kind of warfare. What we're going to find is hopefully some kind of diplomatic solution.
More fighting and killing in Iran, with a reported death toll in the protests there now topping 2,500 people. ABC News chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell.
The regime is resorting to tried and tested tactics, which is using bloody brutal force, live rounds against largely unarmed people. And you see these running skirmishes in towns and cities across the country. Some protesters appear to have armed themselves with what they can get hold of.
This is ABC News.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
Some of the news stories we have coming up just after 8 o'clock this morning. The St. Joseph Township Planning Commission has recommended approval of a revised development proposal for the former Nye Apple Barn property. We'll tell you a little bit more about what the revision is and what they're saying about it, when that might come up before the full St. Joseph Township Commission. Also in the news, Michigan State Police report 2 Benton Harbor area men arrested last week on narcotics charges following a 2-month investigation. And the man convicted of shooting and killing an area firefighter in 2024 has been sentenced to 52 years in prison. Those stories and more coming up just after 8 o'clock right here on the WSJM Morning Show. Currently, it's 7:40, and we've got sports coming up in just a moment. We'll also continue our conversation with Ronnika Williams from Story Salon. That's on the video live stream right now.
The Michigan.
Okay, back on the video live stream. So my question, and sorry if I'm jumping around on the questions, but you just have so many fascinating angles on this. But so it was your great-grandfather that killed a man. Why? Why did he kill him?
He raped his wife.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, he raped his wife. She was going to collect mail from the local country store. That's where you would collect your mail and buy stamps and everything. It was almost like a one-stop. That was your convenience store. So she went down there and he raped her, and she came back disheveled. Didn't really want to tell her husband what had happened. And he went out and he murdered this man, then fled town with his brother. And that's the brother that I see in the census. I was like, okay, what is his connection? That's who he ran with. And that's the brother that ended up staying in Michigan. When they went from Alabama to Michigan, that brother died in Michigan. My great-grandfather went back to the South as a new name, under a new name in a new state, and began a whole new family.
Wow.
So when I think about retracing their steps, the exhibits that we're talking about, these origin stories of these communities, I was able to go back to that spot of like, I was literally retracing their steps of, okay, he went from this place to this place and he left at this train. And here's what's beautiful. These people didn't know me. Stranger, rental car, camera, but there's so many people stopping, waving, asking if I needed anything.
Wow.
It was, and I'm saying not just black people, white people, everybody, and in the South, pulling over, is everything okay?
Yeah.
You need anything? I said, oh yeah, I'm just collecting some stories down here. Didn't tell them it was my story. But oh my gosh, one of the things that happened after I came out from that excursion of being in Thomaston, Alabama, I went back to my hotel, which was in Montgomery. And I'm at the bar, I'm waiting on my food because I'm just going to take it back to my room. And there's a gentleman that sits down and he gets to talking to me. And he said, oh, where are you from? And I told him, I said, oh, I'm from a small town in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And he said, oh, I'm from Alabama, but I live in Georgia now. I said, okay. So he's just talking. We're just still talking. And then he said, well, why are you here? And I said, oh, well, I'm documenting this story about this family history and this murder that happened in Thomaston. And he was like, he said, when you were there, did you see a sign in with the surrounding towns? And I said, yeah, I saw that sign. And he told me where he was from. And he said, so what's the family name? And I said, Steele. And he said, oh, you're talking about the white family or the Smileys. They're still there.
Oh.
I said, they never left. He said, they never left. He said, but I'll tell you this, it's going to be very hard getting that story. Nobody talks about it.
Really?
Yeah. So he said, well, how did you find out about it? I was like, well, there's newspaper articles about it.
Yeah.
He said, so you found newspaper? I said, from 1915 when it happened. Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to know what happened. Like when you go into these communities, somebody knows that story. And I want to hear their rendition of the story. So that's another reason why we go back and we retrace their steps. There's those lost stories.
Yeah.
For that gentleman to sit down next to me and know that story.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Sir.
That's amazing.
So just stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was trying to make sure I answered every part.
Yeah,
of that
you
question.
landed the plane. That was good. You landed. Did you take any formal training on storytelling?
Oh
Have you?
gosh. Pechacucha was big for me because we worked with an amazing filmmaker and writer, Mark Strauss. He's also an organizer for Pechacucha. So it was a lot of the training for storytelling from him. The Center for Documentary Studies did wonders for me as far as documentary work. And yeah, my family.
Yeah.
My family is such great storytellers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, again, I love the fact that you're able to capture those stories and I don't know, archive them, write them down, keep them for history, preserve them for history, for families. And it sounds like that's primarily what you're doing with Story Salon.
Yes.
Is helping families keep that, even if it's just for their own family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Hold on one moment. Let's talk a little bit more about that aspect in just a moment.
Okay.
It's 7:45 WSJM Morning Show. Moody on the Market update coming up next.
And as that happens, the snow showers start. Starting out with light snow for the first part of the day, heavy lake effect snow this afternoon, this evening, and tonight. We'll see some areas with 6 inches or more and wind chills near 0. We'll drop to 18 tonight and 24 tomorrow as the lake effect snow starts to taper off. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
It's 7:46. The WSJM Morning Show continues. 34 degrees in Benton Harbor, 35 in St. Joseph, 32 in South Haven. It's 34 degrees in Dowagiac right now. And time for our Moody on the Market update. Our Moody on the Market update is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today. They are your local auto owners insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. During the Moody on the Market update, we talk about business updates. We talk about life in Southwest Michigan and why we love it here, and interesting people you should know. And I think we hit all 3 boxes on this one, Ronnika. Yeah.
Moody knows me.
Ronnika Williams. Moody knows you.
He does.
Moody knows everybody. No, Ronnika Williams is here from Story Salon, and we've been talking with her this hour about a number of different things. Have we moved off your origin story yet? Because there's a lot there.
There's a lot
It's
there.
good. It's good.
A lot. I don't think I even mentioned one of the things that really, another thing that really pushed me in the direction of Story Salon is in 2020, we did. So I have a podcast too. It's called Please Do Tell.
Please Do Tell.
Yeah,
available on your
stories.
on your podcast provider of choice.
Yes.
Okay.
And one of our series we did was Everyday People of the 49022.
Okay.
And we went out into community and got these stories about influence, power, and it was amazing. Like that was when I was like, oh my gosh, I am now, because of all, we call them researchers, because of these people that went out into this community and got these stories, unlocks so much of just the thread of like, okay, this is connected to this. Oh, this person, that's who's really running that organization. We were able to hear those stories.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, Story Salon is, the time is now.
Yeah.
The time is now. So yeah, that's what that podcast, that series was like, no, you need to be doing a lot more of this.
Yeah. Say the podcast name again.
Please Do Tell.
Please Do Tell.
Yes.
I like that as a story title or podcast title. And you can get it on podcast providers.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Story Salon itself. How do people engage with your service? And what is it that if a family wants to understand more about their background, about their history, they engage with you? How?
Yes. So we do have the website. We're also active on social media. I tell everybody that to make sure that they're a part of our email list, and that's also part of our website too. You're able to join our email list and know where our programs are going on. So we are doing, this whole year, we're doing pop-ups or we're doing exhibits. So we're doing an exhibit that I talked about earlier in Detroit with a church that will be turning 75. So we're excited about that. So we are kind of moving and shaking. We're not just in one area. These stories are all over. So we want to be able to capture them from, the places, their origin stories.
Yes.
So, but another thing is that, oh my gosh, I done lost my train of thought.
How people engage with you? That's
Yes,
okay.
how do you, okay. And so the email list is really big, really big. So these pop-ups that we're doing is I saw that the Present Pillars was on, so I'm going to be a part of their Man Cave Monday
Okay.
and talk about legacy and grief, how grief even led me to my legacy, which is Story Salon.
Yeah.
So I'll be really talking about how do we dive into those stories and just kind of doing some research into their own origin stories as well. So I'm excited about that. So we're going to be doing a lot of those programming's coming up. So that's the best way. So just follow our social media and then you'll know about our events and our programs that are rolling out.
If there's a family or an individual who wants to have your help in documenting their story through Story Salon, there's a cost involved. How does that work?
Oh yeah, there's going to be
Okay.
a cost. So we're
Gotta
going to
keep
sit
the
down.
lights on.
Yeah, we got to keep the lights on. And we're also paying it forward. I've been like that all my life. Just paying it forward. So when you invest in Story Salon, you're actually investing in a story that will just live into perpetuity.
Yeah.
So there definitely will be a cost. I mean, it's not a whole lot, but if we want to talk about turning it into a family exhibit, like a public exhibit, then that cost would go up.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because it takes a lot of time, I
Mhm.
imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
capturing the stories is one thing, but then editing it into a cohesive narrative, that's a
Mhm.
lot more.
Yes.
Okay. It takes a
Yeah.
lot of time. All right. We're talking with Ronnika Williams from Story Salon. The website is thestorysalon.org. And it's a great website. I encourage you to go see it if you want more information. Thestorysalon.org. This is our Moody on the Market update for this hour. It's brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today. They are your local auto owners insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. We'll continue our interview and wrap it up here in a couple of minutes. It's the WSJM Morning Show, back on the video live stream as well.
Insurance management.
Okay, back on the video live stream. Okay. What do you do when you're not collecting stories?
Oh man.
We should probably
Yes.
hasten to mention you also work at
Lori's Place.
Lori's Place.
I do.
Yeah.
The cool thing about with Lori's Place is that they were doing groups at the Boys and Girls Club. That's how I got connected with Lori's Place.
And describe for anyone who might not know, Lori's Place is
Grief Education and Healing Center. We're in St. Joseph, Michigan. There is support groups. So if you have had someone in your life to die, we have a support group for you. We're also in school groups. We're in Berrien, Cass, and I believe in Berrien counties. And yeah, if you want to work on yourself, putting yourself first when we talk about grief, like what do they say when you're on the plane? Put the oxygen mask over your mouth first.
Yeah, because you got to live to help others.
You do.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you take that first step. So I'm always encouraging that. So Boys and Girls Club, I was there and I met Denise, who is now my teammate. And I told her, I was like, oh yeah, I did this project in school, Final 48 project, The Journey of Grief in the Black Community. She said, girl. And so she told Stephanie, who is our amazing director at Lori's Place, and I started volunteering with them, and we created the Community Grief Alliance with other community members from Ben Harbor to bring Lori's Place services into Ben Harbor because we saw that there was a need there and they weren't coming to the office. So we started doing that in 2019, and we've seen an increase of a whole new population coming into Lori's Place.
Yeah.
So it's actually amazing.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That must be rewarding work.
It is every day. Like even yesterday, just I'm able to leave work and like, whew, I might be exhausted, but that felt great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're not storytelling, when you're not doing the Story Salon, when you're not at Lori's Place, what do you do? What do you do for unwind, me time?
My favorite thing is painting my nails. Every week.
At least you're honest. Okay.
Yes, I paint my nails. That is my thing. I love a good train ride. I have 3 best friends that we call ourselves the Heartbeats. We have even matching tattoos. So we have trips coming up, and I just love podcasting. I love podcasting with my best friend of over 30 years. We're only 6 guys.
Exactly.
We were only I'm only 36. So that's Yeah, I
So-
love traveling.
So train travel, you talking
Yeah.
about in the United States? You've been on the trains in Europe, in Japan?
No.
Okay, the Europe trains I love because they're on time.
Okay.
They're on time and they get you to the place on time. They start on time and they finish on time. It's fantastic. Trains in Europe, train travel in the United States.
It is spotty. It is.
That's a kind way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always checking the app like, oh, is it on time today? Oh, it's on time today. Okay. Yeah. Or it might be 8 minutes behind. But yes.
How
No,
far
I
have
need
you
to do that.
traveled on a train?
Only to Chicago.
Okay.
I need to do better.
They're
though.
fun.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
want to do the California.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I really want to do. The coast.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who took she and her husband took a train ride out west, and it took a long time. It took a long time, but they saw a lot of country.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they saw a lot of country.
Yeah.
So, okay, good. How long does it take to typically research and capture a story for a family?
Ooh. Depends on how extensive you want it to be.
Yeah.
I know even because for my own, it was years because I was working. I stop, I start, stop, start.
Yeah.
But I would give it at least 6 months,
Okay.
if the bare minimum, because you have that time to collect as many photos as you want to. We go digging for newspaper articles,
Yeah.
the census, all of that. So yeah, I would say a good 6 months on the low end.
Can you imagine trying to do what you do without the internet archives that are out there? It's so nice, at least for me, to see how much has been digitized.
Yes.
Because you can, it's like, even if it doesn't pan out, at least it's an interesting way to look and it might lead you to another door.
And I'm like, I don't have to leave my couch. This is great. For someone that was bouncing around from archive to archive.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richmond. I was in Virginia, in Texas, in Alabama. Their state archives,
goodness.
like I have a card. I'm official. So
1 second, we'll be right back. WSJM Morning Show.
Media. Proudly serving our community. The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
7:56. Anything else we need to mention?
Yes.
Yes.
So we do Story Salon. We are all about collaboration.
We're talking, by the way, with Ronnika Williams, Story Salon, a fascinating group. If you want more information about what they're doing and what she's been talking about, thestorysalon.org. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So we're all about collaboration. So when we collaborated for the initial exhibit at the Morton House, we're going to be back there again. Mr. Yeager and I are working on talking about Ben Harbor history, where as far as the schools. And he said, well, what are some stories that you would like to hear, or the community want to hear?
Yeah.
I said, the educators that moved from the South to teach at Ben Harbor High School. I want to know those stories. I want
That's
to
a
know
good
why
story.
those teachers came here, why they stayed, how they built community.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's do it. So that's going to be our next collaboration.
That's exciting.
Mhm.
That's
Which
really
will
good.
bleed into other extracurriculars. Like, you have basketball, you have the band. I was a part of the band. My
Okay.
brother was on the basketball team. So we'll see a lot of those stories being weaved in there too.
What'd you play in the band?
I was a clarinet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You still play?
No.
Oh, okay.
12th grade, I was like, all right, that was fun. Yes.
I played the trumpet. I enjoyed the trumpet. I still have a couple of trumpets hanging around somewhere.
Nice.
Just if I want to wake up the kids on an early Saturday morning if they're sleeping too long. But clarinet would be fun. But man, I thought about, I'd like to take up the clarinet, but I went and looked at a music shop. Those things are expensive.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Story Salon. Any parting messages? We've got about 60 seconds here before we have to go.
Ooh, I want people to understand that your story is valid. It's worth telling. And if you don't know how, contact Story Salon.
Yeah, I like that. Contact Story Salon. And again, the website for Story Salon is thestorysalon.org. You're located here in Benton Harbor. You're a nonprofit, and your mission is to amplify Black culture's richness and resilience through storytelling, education, and community engagement. We strive to uplift voices, preserve legacies, and inspire a more inclusive future.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having
This has been great. Come back anytime.
You heard it.
All right.
I will.
All right. It's the WSJM Morning Show. Thanks to Ronnika Williams and Story Salon for sharing their information. Weather forecast for today. I'm looking out on the security cameras and I see snow. It looks like snow. We are under a winter storm warning today for Berrien County. It also extends to counties in northern Indiana as well, LaPorte and St. Joseph County. There's a winter weather advisory for surrounding counties, Cass County included. Today's forecast does call for snow, a lot of it. First system snow and then lake effect snow. The high today is going to fall down into the 20s. We are as warm as it's going to get right now. Yeah, we're already down to 33 degrees now. Looks like it's snowing, kind of a rain-snow mix over in St. Joseph is already starting to take place. So the weather people were right. Snow starting, and we're under that winter storm warning until 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. More on that coming up. It's 8 o'clock.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Clash